Welcome to Simpletown. I am Malice, and this is going to be a hopefully quick video tour of the factory. I'm not going to be giving a complete tour because I think that would take too long. I'm just going to hit the high points, things that I think could use a little bit of explanation above what the guide already has. The guide being a wall of text and a static screenshot can only do so much. So here we go. Let's see how quickly I can get through this without being confusing. I'm going to start by talking about coal power. Generally, when people talk about coal power, you hear them refer to a 3x8. They're talking about 3 water extractors and 8 generators. So you'll generally bring one pipe up one side to feed the manifold, one pipe up the other side to feed the manifold, and then a third pipe down the center. It works great, it upgrades easily, right up until you get to 16 coal power generators. 16 fully overclocked generators require 1800 water, which means you will have 3 fully maxed out Mark II pipes. If you know anything about this game, you've probably heard that Mark II pipes do not like to work at maximum capacity. They do work, they can be made to work, but even when you do everything right, sometimes it's still wrong. So I try not to maximize those pipes. I also recommend to others to not maximize those pipes. So what I recommend is really more of a 2x4. 2 water extractors and 4 generators, and then building in banks of 4. So you'll have one pipe up the side feeding the manifold, one pipe up this side feeding the manifold, and that's it. Whenever you need more power, simply come in, build 4 more generators into the manifold you've already constructed before, upgrade the belts, upgrade the pipes, add more water as necessary until eventually you'll have 4 water extractors per pipe. Fully overclocked, only using 900 water. That's 450 in each pipe, easy peasy. Once you figure out how to make this work in a way that you like the way it looks, just do it again and again and again. These 8 are an identical copy of these 8. So you can do this over and over. You can even blueprint most of it. So just to show you real quick underneath, here are the input pipes, single manifold. That's a whole different system. This belt feeds this side, this belt feeds that side, easy peasy. So while I'm sitting here talking about water, I'm going to go talk about, or go show you the aluminum. Because I recommend for this particular build, using the vanilla recipe. That means in your aluminum scrap production, you're going to have water as a byproduct. Anytime you have a byproduct in a machine, that byproduct must be used or destroyed in full at 100%. If that is allowed to back up at all, the byproduct I'm talking about, if the byproduct backs up at all, the whole production chain can shut down. So as you can see, this water is disappearing about as quickly as it can get made. This machine is cycling on and off, and yet the water is still not there. This is not because everything's balanced. This is not because I'm using alternates. It is because of fluid priority. Yes, fluid priority is a real thing. Shout out to Serial K on Reddit, who about 10 months ago created a post explaining how priority works, or at least explaining how to use the priority. I still don't know why it works this way, but he's right in the way it works. So the pipe with the fewest number of segments is the one that takes priority. So this pipe right here, which comes down from the lake, because it has all of these extra segments built into it, it is guaranteed to have more segments than these 2 outputs right here. The byproduct coming out of these outputs is piped into the manifold of these inputs right here, 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 and here. So that when this thing needs water, it gets water. And because of priority, it's going to get the water from this machine. That's it. No U-bends, no P-traps, no elevation changes, no over-unders, none of that. Just add more segments to the thing you want to have lower priority. And you can see already, it's duty cycling itself on and off. Even though these things are pushing out 100%, or at least want to push out 100%, they can't. Because as soon as those machines provide water, these have to shut down. Because they don't have priority. Super duper simple. You don't have to worry about alternates, and yeah, byproducts are not that hard. Anyway, moving right along. Why is there a hole there? This whole build is based on blueprints. Blueprint here, 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 everywhere is a blueprint, right? This is one I'll show you first. I did not come up with this particular setup. I saw it years ago from somebody else who had somehow fit like 20 something of these into a Mark I blueprinter. Pretty impressive. Unnecessary, but impressive. So one resource comes in up here, goes around the back. One resource comes down here, goes around the back. That's it. Really simple. The inputs are facing each other, so the output comes down the middle. This is stackable. You just have to kind of fiddle with the outputs. But there it is. That's one of them. Almost this entire factory right here, it's weird, is based on these two builds right here. So I kind of hit on this in the blueprint section of the guide. Each layer is a mirror of the one above and beneath it. Because this one in particular, everything comes in on the right and out on the right. That's why it's RR. It's just my nomenclature. This one must therefore be an LL, and so forth and so on. LL, RR, LR, LR, all the way up. So I can take this blueprint, and with the arrow facing away, RR, I can come up, blueprint, face it away, RR becomes an LL, build it. LL becomes an RR, arrows away, and build it. Now all I got to do is connect it. I'll start with power, that way my hover pack still works. This is why I like the wall outlets. Link it, and power it up from the rest of the factory. This thing now has power. So, belts, or lifts rather. This is the input side, so the input needs to go up to the next layer. It then needs to go through the manifold and up to the next layer. Same thing on the outputs. The output here is going to go to the input there, and the output here is going to go to the input there. So now this goes out to your factory. This comes in from wherever it's being produced, and you're ready to go. All that's left now is to program the machine. Let's just make iron because reasons. I touched on this in the blueprint tips as well. Whoops, wrong button. At the point that I recommend building all this stuff during phase 2 and phase 3, you're not going to have the jetpack, and you're definitely not going to have the hover pack. You don't need it. All you got to do is float down. So as I'm floating, control copy, control V, control V, control V. Whoops, get closer to it. Control V, 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 V. Drop down a little bit more. And control V, control V, control V, control V. You can now see yellow all the way up. They are programmed and ready to go. That is the simplest way I find to program them. You can save these recipes as part of the blueprint, but then you're going to have like 67 blueprints, and I don't like that. I like to be able to just copy one like you just saw me do. I can just go in the factory and go, I need some of that. Let me put it over here, and then just stick it there, right? Like, I don't want to have to go through my blueprints and find the 67th blueprint that happens to have silica, yeah. Like, ain't nobody got time for all that. Moving right along. Oh my gosh, the spacing on this is off. Huh. Anyway, so this blueprint would work exactly like these. Everything comes in one side and goes up and over. Everything goes out and goes over. You would link it the same way, you would build it the same way. The only consideration that you would have to make within the blueprint process is that you would need to include in the blueprint an extra belt coming out, so that when you link it to the next section up, your belts, or your lifts rather, don't run into each other. Because obviously if you did this just like it is, everything's going to be clipping and looking funky. Your choice, obviously. This is my 2x3 assembler setup though. I love it. Only thing I don't like about it is this. That splitter right there means that it has to be taller than it really is. These things are floating. I don't have this particular blueprint on this computer, so I can't copy it out and show it to you. But this particular blueprint you can see is 4 meters taller than it really needs to be. I have yet to find out how to put a vertical splitter on the base level of a blueprint. If you know how to do it, please let me know, because I would love to figure it out. Yeah, that's all. This is stackable by default. You don't need a mirror copy of it, because this thing, when rotated, is its own mirror. So one ingredient comes in right here. Oh, go down. One ingredient comes in here. One ingredient comes in there. And it just splits off, boop, and boop, into their respective splitters, which then have belts into the machine. Easy peasy. So you can see this is one recipe and this is the other, because sheets that come in go through the bottom and then go up and feed the top. Quick wire is only needed here. Plastic is only needed there. So I just bypass the bottom level. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Manufacturers work basically the same way. The actual blueprint, I'll stack 2 of these on top of each other, does not include the final connection of conveyor lift, because auto connect doesn't really work for lifts. So this last little connection you have to make yourself. It's like whatever, right? And you just do that as many times as necessary. And if you have, like I have here, if you have items, recipes that share ingredients, they can also share a stack. Plastic is only needed on the computers, so it stops once it hits the high-speed connector. Quick wire is not needed for the computer, so I deleted it. It doesn't exist. And then for both recipes, the circuit boards and cable are needed, so they feed the entire stack all the way up. So if I wanted to continue this on, it would just be a matter of, where's my, oh, because I deleted it off of this one, my bad. So since that does not exist on this level, I would have to remake it, which is a pain in the butt, but it would work. So here we go. So assuming that I had not deleted those when I constructed this originally, what in the world? Oh my god, really? All right, there we go. So I would just link down, link up, probably fix that because the belts in this game are weird. There we go. And then I would be done. There's my quick wire going all the way up again. Speaking of sharing stacks, that's 5 different recipes right there. This is reinforced iron plates and modular frames. And then this is rotors, stators, motors. Since they share output resources, then the output of one becomes the input of the other. Let's see if I did that here. How did I do that? I don't even know what I'm doing here. That's the stators coming out. So that's the stators going in. Oh, I did split it. I didn't split it directly. I came off the output. So speaking of outputs, this is how I do my storages. I like to clip an industrial storage container through the floor. The upper level becomes the input, as well as, actually, that's what I said. The upper level becomes the input, and the upper output goes to an uploader. The lower output goes into the interstitial. And here's the interstitial. Whoop, let's get back up. Fell through. This is the interstitial. All of the spaghetti routing is down here, which this is not particularly spaghettified. I tried to clip as little as possible. There is some clipping, but you'll kind of be hard pressed to find it. This is the interstitial. I recommend building a 12-meter interstitial. This is an 8-meter interstitial. That's why I have to compress things and do all this funky stuff. A 12-meter interstitial is way easier to work with, especially if you're trying not to clip things. And that's it. I think I just covered everything. Everything that's worth talking about, I just covered. Trucks work. This is pre 1.2. This is the old system. Trucks work. That's all I got to say about that. Yeah, that's all. That's the whole factory. The whole concept of the factory is to build everything at once before you actually need it. That way, when it comes time to connect things, you can just connect them. Or as you just saw me do, you can come in. Let's see, LR is going to become an RL. Check my inputs and outputs, facing the same way. All you'd have to do in this case, if you needed another level of this, is make another level. That's it. Output goes down, and you're done. Copy, paste, 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 and power it. Where's my link? There it is. These will now start producing and pumping into the same chain. Finished. I don't even know what that is, but I just made more of it. Iron rods. I'm making more iron rods now. That's it. That's the reason we use stackable blueprints, so that you can multiply that quickly. Oh man, now I'm clipping my power. Whatever. That's it. So speaking of power, I'll show you the power grid and I'll close with that, because you don't need that much. The more stuff you produce, the more power you need to produce it. Which means the more factory, which means the more power, which means more factory. It's kind of a never-ending cycle. So in this specific build, I tried to minimize everything. Everything is simplified to the nth degree. If it was any simpler, it would take way too long. And that's it. That's the whole concept of the build. Give yourself constraints, stick to those constraints, and just keep it simple. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. I enjoyed making this. I hope you guys get something out of it. Yeah, I mean, if you don't, I still had fun making it, so no big deal. But still, this factory, this guide, this particular walkthrough, and this video, it's all fun to me. I just enjoyed playing this game and hopefully helping people. So have fun. Yeah, that's it. Later.